at a gig I was playing, the Sudden Valley Barn.
This is Tom Rigney.
Yeah. He popped into to the club. He was on the road with Queen Ida at the time, and he was on a date between Seattle, and his next gig was in Vancouver or Victoria. And he jumped up on stage with my fiddler at the time, John Perry, and plugged in and started playing, and we got a little bit acquainted on the break, and he said, too bad you don't live in San Francisco. I'm looking to put something together when I get back. I'm not going to be working for Ida that much longer. I want to do my own thing. It'd be great to work with you. And I said, well, this gig is a going away party for me. I'm going to be moving to San Francisco in April. And he said, call me. So I did, and we've been working together ever since. We're on our 15th year, almost to the month, as a matter of fact, right now, that we've been working together. In '85, a year after we sort of got our feet wet together musically, we formed the Sundogs. And 6 CDs later and 14 years later, we're still at it.
Great.
Our latest CD came out last fall, and we have a Christmas album in the works to come out this fall coming up.
And you played all over, I mean, not only the Bay Area and California, but I think
we travel a lot.
Greece and
we get to Europe about once a year. We travel the States, more so the Western States than back east, although we have been back east a couple, 3 times. We get up to Alaska about once a year. Comes to mind with the Sundogs was our first European tour. We were booked by a British agent to tour the UK, and while that was being booked, Rigney decided to send a CD off to the Belgium Rhythm and Blues Festival, which is one of the most prestigious rhythm and blues festivals in the world, where they house 10,000 festival goers in a tent for 3 days.
Oh.
I mean, you have to leave. You can't crash there. You can come back. In the little town of Peer, Belgium. And we sent them off a CD, and before we left for Europe, they faxed us back inviting us to their festival. They liked our CD. They thought the swampy Zydeco slant would be a nice contrast to the bluesy, shuffle, R&B, Thunderbirds kind of stuff they were doing. So they invited us. They weren't going to pay us anything, but they were going to pay our way. They were going to fly us over. We thought, well, our airfares are taken care of to go to England. So we got over to England. We had 6 dates in the UK. We had Birmingham, Bristol, Newcastle, Kingston on the Hull, Cardiff, and London. And we got to London, and they threw us in this bus up and bussed us up to Birmingham with our equipment, and we played Birmingham, and it was good. It was a good gig. It was definitely a rousing kind of pub gig that met with some pretty good favor. And the day we were to leave for Bristol, we got a call from the agent saying that the date had been canceled and that we were to go straight to Newcastle, which is straight up on the way to Edinburgh, you know, all the way up almost to the Scotland border. So we did our driving. We had to drive ourselves, and that was an experience. Only one of us was insured, and stay to the left.
Yeah.
We kept saying that was the navigator's role. Stay to the left, roundabout,
Easy to
roundabout.
forget, right?
And Tom did all the driving. He was the only one that they would insure, and so we couldn't trade off on driving. And he was a nervous wreck. But we made it to Newcastle in plenty of times. We had 2 days to get there, and we started looking for the club. And we look at the map and the directions we got in our tour book. We drive around, and where the heck is this place? I don't know. And we come in from the back way, and we see the yellow police line cordoning off these smoldering ruins, which had once been the nightclub.
Oh no!
we were booked
Been a hot group there before.
a real hot time in the old town. And we step out of the van and we walk and inquire to this policeman what's going on. And he said, "Sorry lads, it's been firebombed. There was a disgruntled customer came back at 4 o'clock this morning and firebombed the place and burned it down. Sorry." So the first thing we thought of was, where is the promoter? Are we going to get any compensation out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually tracked down the promoter via a phone or something. Spent the rest of the night pub crawling with him, and you know, he was obviously as miserable as we were because his situation was long term. Ours was just a canceled date. It'd been a heck of a drive to get there, but so anyway, that date was canceled. That date was shot. So Bristol and Newcastle were down the drain. Then we got to Cardiff. No, I'm sorry, we got to Kingston on the Hall, and that was a pretty favorable gig. They weren't really into the music stylistically, but they appreciated us showing up, and they appreciated our musicianship and all that. But yeah, what's Cajun music? What's that doing? What's that washboard thing you got going there? You know, and so that it went over slightly, and then we made the drive from Kingston on the Hall, which is in the northeast portion of the island, and headed over to Wales, to Cardiff. Beautiful city, beautiful weather. They were in the middle of what they called a heat wave at the time. I think it was 83. Wonderful club. We went in, did a great sound check. They put us up in this wonderful bed and breakfast, what they call guest houses over there, and fed us and took real good care of us. We got over to the gig. We started playing, and kids, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids started coming in. And as the kids came in, the floor started emitting these little smoke machines. And so the room filled up with this smoke machine smoke, and kids were standing around going, "What in the heck is that?" And it turned out that the agent had booked us into a rave club.
What's that?
Which was kids come in and take psychedelics and alcohol and dance to loud disco,
So
rave,
part of it.
loud music with the smoke machines and
no.
this and that. And here we are, wing, gada wing, gada wing, gada wing, gada wing, you know. And I remember Tom jumping off the stage going, "What the hell?" He jumps off the stage and slides through this smoke and starts playing to these people on the floor. You know, I run out there with my washboard, and they're standing there going, you know, these kids are all tripping and stuff, you know. And we're all a bunch of 40-year-old duffers playing this Cajun music. And into the fifth tune, right in the middle of the fifth song, the promoter comes up on stage from backstage and tugs at John, our bass player, and says, "Please stop playing. Just stop playing. I'll pay you, but I'm losing my kids. I'm losing them. They're leaving. They're leaving. Don't play anymore." You know, he was graciously, very graciously and diplomatically firing us. You know,
Oh, no.
It was not a fit. It was definitely a bad fit. You know, the Sundogs did not have any business playing at that club. Our agent was wrong to do that one.
But he did pay you anyway.
But they did pay us.
Stop.
Oh, they were just yeah. They realized, you know,
They
we were
felt bad
out of
too,
our
yeah.
control. They started bringing back bottles of booze and anything to ingratiate us, you know, and make us feel better. And, oh gosh, and I was just furious, simply because he cut us off in the middle of a song. He could have waited till the song was over, called one of us over, but he just got up and started talking to us while we're playing, you know, and we were uncomfortable anyway. And then to have him come up and no matter how diplomatically he tried to, you know, to blow us off. So that was the third date, you know, that was sort of a bust. So we'd had Birmingham, which was good, and we'd had Kingston on the Hall, which was pretty good. And then we had one date left in London at the Cricketers Pub, and it was definitely a really cool blues, roots music kind of a joint, and we did really good. We had a great crowd, and it was wonderful. And then we had to deal with Heathrow Airport the next day, and they did not have our seats. The line was too long. Customer service was not customer service. We had to demand our way onto an airplane, and we thought, oh my gosh, nothing can be worse than this little debacle. What's going to happen when we get to Belgium, you know, which is even, at that time, much more foreign to us than England. You know, we thought, oh gosh, is there going to be a language barrier? We're going to know what's going on. We're not going to get paid at all. Geez. And they picked us up in this beautiful tour bus at the airport, took us to this gorgeous hotel, and got us into a real nice comfort zone, took care of us with some wonderful food and great Belgian beer. We had an afternoon Sunday slot on the stage on day 2 of the festival, so it was a pretty good spot. It wasn't one of the evening acts. Dr. John, the Thunderbirds, Etta James, Ronnie Earl, some really high-class acts were headlining, and we were sort of just debuting at best. And anyway, to make a long story not quite as long, it was a 4 encore performance, and we essentially stole the show, and we got back to the dressing room the next day. Or the next day, we got back to the dressing room. Seemed like the next day. We got back to the dressing room after our show, and there were 4 different agents from 4 different countries waiting to sign us. And the next day, on the bus back to the airport, we read all the papers, the Antwerp Times and the Brussels Times and all that.
I love it.
And we got all the ink. And because of that, because of getting into that show and doing that with that much success, we've been going to Europe annually.
Great.
Based on that success and the subsequent success that we've achieved in the countries that we were represented in by those agents before. So that was the stepping stone. Not exactly a springboard, but it was a stepping stone to more success.
And you were probably ready to hang it up before
and we were
Belgium,
just ready to hang it. At Heathrow Airport, we kind of looked at each other.
Yeah, what
this European thing, I don't know, man. This is weird. And then once we got over to Belgium, it just everything, the stress and the whole vibe just changed into something very gracious. And to this day, some of our dearest friends and our closest fans are in Belgium. Yeah. Nancy can attest because she was able to fly over.
Oh, great.
The last time we were there, 2 Februaries ago, she came over and rendezvoused with me, and we spent a night in Pier, which was the same town where we played the festival, and met some of my Belgian friends, and just fell in love with it. It's definitely a real strong relationship we have with Holland, Belgium, and Greece as well.